Well, the madness of March is upon us, and today the tournament kicks off in style. I know we've had a couple of days of games so far, but this is when the real action gets started. And we have been breaking down the brackets for the past couple of days here, region by region, and today we are going to give you the East region. We're going to start with some of the teams, give you our picks and what we think, and we disagree a little bit here, which always makes it intriguing. We'll try and help you. Help yourself and help you try and win your pool. So let's get started with how we believe this bracket is going to break down in the East. The #1 overall seed, Villanova, trying to repeat, trying to defend their championship. And we had Ryan Bannon, the voice of the Wildcats, on yesterday. If you missed any of that, you can check it out on our 120 Sports app. And he gave us a lot of great insight into some of the losses from last year, how that impacted this team, but really how this team has rallied around each other and made a great run here for this season. So for me, I'm feeling these Wildcats. I love them. I'm taking them all the way to the national championship game. I feel like Chris Jenkins and Jalen Hurts, the fact that they've had this experience means so much. We always talk about guard play, but we also talk about pressure and how much that is a huge factor. They've felt the pressure. They know what it's like. They did it last year. So the fact that they have another chance to be able to go at it here again this year, to me, I really feel strongly about this team.
I've been throwing some nuggets around this whole week so that maybe you can use for filling out your brackets. And here's one to consider if you're on the fence regarding Villanova and a return to the national championship game, let alone the title. The #1 overall seed, which Villanova is this year in the field, has won the title only 3 times in the past 13 seasons.
Right.
Villanova was not the #1 overall seed last year, and they made it all the way and cut the nets down. They are this year. I don't see how they even get out of the region, and we'll talk about that, let alone get back for a chance to cut down the nets. If they do it, good on them. But I don't see it happening.
We have not seen a repeat champion in 10 years since Florida won back-to-back championships a decade ago. So it's a tall order, that's for sure. But listen, if any team can do it, I think it's Nova.
All right, let's take a look here. Let's put that up here as far as the bracket is concerned. And there you see Villanova at the very top against the #1 overall seed in the tournament, the #1 seed coming out of the East region. And #2, a lot of people thought that they were deserving of a #1 seed. The Duke Blue Devils, after running through the ACC conference tournament, they get the #2 seed. And what was interesting is that not only were they not a #1 seed despite their hot run here of late, they were not even considered the best 2 seed. They were considered the 3rd best 2 seed in the tournament. So 7th team overall. 12 of the last 13 champions, get this, and this might help you. It could help for Villanova again, and it certainly did last year. 12 of the last 13 champions wore blue as a primary color. So I know there are people out there who are interested in stuff like that. We talked about the mascots and nicknames.
Oh.
So if you're into the color blue, and that's what you're looking for, there you go. There's your reason for taking either Villanova or Duke.
So here's a funny story. My mother, who is a Maryland alum, filled out her bracket yesterday, and she said, I want to pick by color.
Oh.
Guess who our national champion is?
Is it Duke?
It's Duke.
Wow.
And I said, Mother, you went to Maryland. I went to Maryland. You know how I feel about Duke. And she said, hey, this rivalry didn't happen when I was there. It happened after I left. So don't talk to me about a rivalry that I don't know anything about.
Ooh.
I like the colors, and that's what I'm going with. And I said, okay,
you
Mom.
go, Mama, Dad.
You be you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
you
she
go, Mama,
picked Duke, and she's definitely going to do a lot better than I am in my bracket for sure.
I will say this. This is the region that I believe will create all kinds of anxiety and angst because there's going to be a lot of red X's here. I think this is going to be the bracket-busting region.
Oh, see, I totally disagree.
Right now, I have the 11, 12, 13, and 14 seeds out of this region moving on from the first round into the second round.
Unbelievable.
Upset city, baby.
So you hate Baylor. You hate on SMU.
I don't hate them. I'm just saying.
Okay, you're hating on Virginia. You're hating on SMU, and you're hating on Baylor. 3 teams, at least 2 of those actually that I like, Baylor and SMU. Baylor, man, come on. We got to get this going. Anyway, we're taking a look at your bracket right now in the East region.
So the 5-12 matchup there, Virginia, I know they play outstanding defense here, but UNC Wilmington, we saw what they did to Duke last year. They are the representatives out of the Colonial. I'm going with the Seahawks there. We're going to see a 12-13 matchup because Florida, John Egbunu, the center there for the Gators, he's out. And this East Tennessee State team, if you see some of the video here from their season, their athleticism, they are deep. They can play with anybody here, and they're going to make a Florida upset about having that matched up, and they're going to end up playing that 12-13 game in the second round. USC, we've already saw them win. They're going to get past SMU for the second time this season. Baylor's going to go down as well to New Mexico State, and then Marquette, one of only 2 teams in the country this season that defeated #1 Villanova, along with Butler. Marquette will handle South Carolina and move on to the second round as well.
So I think we have 4 teams that are similar in this branch of the bracket. Nova, Wisconsin, UNCW, and Duke in terms of advancing to that second round. But all those teams in the middle are teams that we completely disagree on. I love Florida. I think that their athleticism is what's going to get them to the second round. SMU, I hadn't particularly been high on, but the Mustangs not only have a great backcourt, but they are strong athletically as well. And Baylor, I've just been waiting. I've been waiting on you, Baylor. South Carolina, by the way, has not played well recently down the stretch. Neither really has Baylor, but I feel like this is the time that both these teams will turn it on in the postseason. I know, I'm going with the higher seeds in a lot of these.
So basically, you acknowledge that both Baylor and South Carolina have disappointed you during the regular season.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, they're going to do that, snap their fingers, little hocus pocus, and all of a sudden they're going to pull wins out of the hat.
That's how it works. That's how teams who get hot turn it on.
The crazy thing is that you might be right. I mean, that's all the part of March Madness, right? We can break down all the numbers here and craziness happens, but I do believe this region will be the home of all of the upsets, or most of the upsets.
I mean, listen, as a Terps fan, all I keep hearing about is Xavier. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. So don't tell me that teams that are not playing well aren't going to get hot in the tournament, because that's what everyone keeps telling me.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a look now at the next phase of this region here, the regional semifinals, and let's find out which teams are going on to the Sweet 16 from our matchups that we just presented to you. And you can see that I have pushed Villanova out. No shock there. The same with Duke. Despite all of the craziness as far as the upsets in the first and maybe in the second rounds, I am going to go chalk in the end. Villanova and Duke will force their way all the way out to the Elite Eight. We're going to see a great game. By the way, this Sweet 16 will be played along with the Elite Eight in Madison Square Garden.
Can I ask you what you saw out of USC last night that you really liked? Because I saw a team that had to struggle from a huge comeback.
The first half had me scratching my head as to why did I put USC all the way out to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
In the second half, they confirmed my confidence in the Trojans. The men of Troy ran roughshod over Providence in the second half. They have defeated SMU already this season. I like what they can do. They've got some talent. Benny Boatwright there leading the way. This is a team that has the talent to go as far, maybe even farther, but I don't think they're going to get past Duke.
All right, let's take a look at mine because, like if you said, this region is going to bust everyone's bracket. My bracket is going to be out. My bracket's going to be out quick because, yeah, I went straight 1, 2, 3, 4. And
how many times do we see that?
This region is so strong, and all 4 of these teams, to me, have what it takes to get there. I would love to count against Duke, and that's why I picked Baylor in order to advance because I don't see Duke going that far. I think they have the talent. I just don't think mentally they're prepared to be able to make the run to the Elite Eight that they need to, or that everyone says they're going to. And Nova, for me, I feel like is strong, but they're not as strong as repeat champions. That's taking it a little too far. But yeah, I went chalk, man.
Well, I've already said we're going to see at Madison Square Garden, Villanova versus Duke playing for the right to go to the Final Four and represent the East region. And I've already said it will be the Duke Blue Devils. Look, this game being played in Madison Square Garden, it's the home away from home for the Duke Blue Devils. We've seen every year, sometimes multiple times, Coach K and Duke, they schedule games here in the Garden, and they've been able to attract a huge fan base here in New York City, and they're going to have that behind them. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of blue, not for Villanova blue, but Duke blue there in the stands, and we're going to see the Duke Blue Devils win that game at the Garden.
Yeah, I disagree. I think it's going to be Baylor. Listen, they went to the Elite Eight back in 2012. Scott Drew had this team, gunning for it, and I think that there's a chance that they get back there because this roster is better than the roster of that team. 100% is way more talented. So for me, I think they end up taking down Duke, and Duke doesn't even know what's coming because they have all sorts of emotional issues on that team. And don't tell me they don't, because you know they do. Grayson Allen has been a head case from the start. Coach K has to sit him on the bench in order for this team to be successful down the stretch.
Now.
It's incredible, though. No, he doesn't come off the bench. He just sits on the bench, and the rest of the team plays
Tatum,
well
by the way,
while he's sitting down.
Have you seen the emergence of a man who might be the #1 overall pick in the NBA?
Listen,
that kid is phenomenal.
Tatum and Harry Giles have been playing lights out right now. So that's why
and
I
then
have
there's
them.
Luke Kennard, who's only the tournament MVP and arguably, certainly one of the candidates for ACC Player of the Year.
Let me see them put it all together, then I'll believe Duke. I haven't seen them do that.
Yeah, we've never seen Duke put that together at any point.
For 1 week to run the table for the ACC tournament, get out of here. North Carolina bailed out. They didn't care. They were over it.
Hopefully they can overcome their demons, and maybe Coach K, maybe just someday he can win a championship.
I mean, he's still recovering from his back surgery, I think.
I don't know about
Gotta
that.
get off the meds.
I tell you what, winning cures a lot of ills, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're fine. They're in good shape there, and I'm going to be very surprised if Duke doesn't at least get to the regional final. But we're talking about even bigger things, and that's ahead here on the Morning Run.
Look out for your feet. Everyone make sure their shoes are tied, because there's going to be some tripping opportunities, I'm sure.
You're tripping if you don't think that Duke can win it all.
Don't ever say that again.
Hey, I'm just following the lead of Mrs. Dat.
He'll be sticking his feet
out. The
out.
genius of your mother.
He's sticking his feet out, making sure everyone...
The genius of your mother.
Yeah,
She'll tell you everything. You should listen to him.
She picks based on the color, okay?
Doesn't matter. Listen to your mother. Mm-hmm. Moms know. She's got that intuition.
Let's keep our hands, elbows, feet to ourselves, please. Duke.
All right. I'm with Mom and Dad.
Yeah, and so Nova coming out of that bracket, that's going to be... It's going to be a really, really interesting branch, mainly because we have such opposite feelings about it, and we could go to war here on the show.